Mincha now.
Mincha.
No, whatever. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. Some of us do 2 Myers on purpose for Byron.
There you go. Okay, so now we're up to. I don't think we'll be able to do 2 blot tonight because tonight's daf is very long. But tomorrow, Beis Hashem. Tomorrow, even though tomorrow we start Elu Nairis, which is like Shas Katan of Shas Katan. But
what's Yaakov? We're only missing Matzah Shabbos. What's the problem?
I understand. So we need to fill in an extra daf.
Okay. So we could do Sunday night.
We're gonna do Sunday night, even with Sunday night. Sunday night takes care of Sundays. When are we doing Shabbos?
Yeah.
Right. Although it's interesting. I looked forward. I was a little bored. I actually wasn't bored, but I was interested.
I don't believe that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the middle of talking to somebody. We decided, hey, check next year, Be'ez Hashem, Gittin, the Churban Gemaras come out during the 3 weeks, just not on Tisha B'Av. The Churban, but Mamish like 2 weeks right before. I mean, it's okay. It's good enough to be in the Oisei Inyan, but I was thinking like maybe we skip ahead 2 blots, so like this we could have the daf next year on Tisha B'Av. Whatever. Saying it's not.
We'll be eating big fat shlomims next year. Tisha
Be'ez Hashem, Rebaran, that is the right attitude. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Amen to that.
Rebaran, as long as they cook medium, we're okay with
it. Yeah.
Well, you'll be in charge of the cooking. Who's they? Who's they will be cook medium? What are you saying they for?
All of a sudden now I'm a miyuchis nikakayin. Okay, well, fine.
I never said you weren't miyuchis. You might have other issues with Baruch Hashem, your miyuchis. Whoever chas v'sholem said you'd have miyuchis.
I kid.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so okay, let's Be'ez Hashem. Aaron will have to prove his yichus, and that will be that. That's yeah. Anyways, okay, so we're 3 lines down from the top. So we're talking about the sugya. If you have a couple that gets divorced, so they're not allowed to live in the same chutzner as each other.
See, Yaakov.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I called Matty Cohn today to check the story. He always says. He said, thanks for calling me today. But yeah, he said, I sent it over today, Aaron. He said I wouldn't miss a chance. That's a kohen. The fellow and his wife is a kohen. You know the story?
You said the story yesterday, so they couldn't get back to marry.
He says, I said I didn't say it was a kohen. I wanted to make check with you. He says, it's a kohen. That's the whole reason it's the story.
So that's Mamish's Gemara.
Fella's a kohen. Yeah.
I don't understand. To me, it seemed like a tease.
I'm not going to say it's.
Obviously, it's not
for it's more than a tease, Rushi Yaakov. That's the story.
Yes, Lashon Sagi Nor.
Lashon Sagi Nor. And it turned out that the guy, he made a lot of money himself. He didn't even need his shver. So they pfeifed under shver triple ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear. He didn't make enough money to find the Rav to be Mavatal the first Kedushin, though, or whatever. Anyways. Okay. So we're talking about, so then a couple that gets divorced, they're not live in the same chutzner, and a kohen who gets married and then gets divorced is not even allowed to live in the same shchuna, because there is a big chashash because they can't even get remarried to each other. Fine, so that was the Gemara yesterday. So the Gemara's 3 lines down is asking me nitcha b'nei mi. Okay, so who has to move out?
I know a kohen can't marry a grusha, but he can't be machzir his own grusha, say?
No, she's a grusha.
Doesn't have, so that mitzvah doesn't have either. Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't get. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't. He can't do masa grusha. Yeah.
Oh, so you're catching up to the Kahanim, I've told you. You almost have the same amount of mitzvahs as them. That's what you're trying to do.
It's Yaakov. My father told me a famous story with Rav Gusman.
That was with something else. No, that they had to get divorced
because after 10 years they didn't have kids.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And then 3 months afterwards, she was pregnant.
And he was a kohen?
Yeah, Rav Gusman was matter it.
Yeah?
He held it, the whole get was al mekach tois, the whole thing.
Wow. That's
I heard
pretty good.
Hashem of Yashiv.
Yeah.
Sam Isa.
It's a crazy Misa.
That's wild. Okay, anyways, so I asked the big Masada Gittin today of like, what do we do with this Hanhaga with the couples? Because they live in the same town, right? So he said, in the same town, our towns are big enough that we're not makbid that. Well, anyways, in the same, but even a kohen, it's not. Our towns are big enough. But if it would be like on the same street, that would be a t'nai that they would not let. They wouldn't let it on the same street or anything like that. Anyways, so the question is, of course, as part of the divorce settlement, who's leaving? Right? Me nidcha b'nei me. Right? Who's the one that has to leave? So Tashema, the Tanya, he nidchis meknanov. She, like all the feminists are gonna say, of course, right? She gets pushed away from him. And he doesn't get pushed away from her. But obviously, if it was her chatzah, and he was the one that is living there, then obviously he has to leave. What happens if they both own houses in the same chatzah? So now what? So Tashema, he nitras mi panav, she gets pushed off from him, right? But Maya Skina. So what are we talking about that she gets pushed off from him? The Gemara that we just said, right? She gets pushed off. If it's from his chatzah, pshita, right? It's pashut. Why should he have to leave his own chatzah? If she's renting or she's staying in his chatzah, so of course she has to leave. It must be in her chatzah. So why is she leaving? Right? If it's her chatzah, then he has to leave. He gets pushed away from her. Elolav ki gavna must be where they're both in the same thing, in the same place, right? And then she has to leave. So Gemara says, well, Dilma da'ager meger, maybe they're just renters, right? Maybe that's what that Gemara is talking about. We were looking for what that Gemara is saying when she has to leave. Maybe it's where they both rent. So if they both rent, she leaves first. So Gemara says, my havi Allah. Bottom line is, what's the din? Who's leaving from who? So Tashema, Hine Hashem metaltilchem taltala gavar. Hashem will make you. There's a pasuk in Yeshaya. Hashem will make you have to go into galus like a man. V'amarav totuli the gavra koshen mid'itza. A man in galus is totuli, meaning is like in galus is worse than a woman, right? So. Which I don't understand. Anybody have a pshat in this? I got stuck with this passport business, and then I didn't have a chance to look. Why should a wandering for a woman be better than for a man? Why would it be better? It's worse for a man to be in Golos than a woman. I would think fakir, no?
Yeah.
But then again,
Today it
das
probably is fakir.
So it makes sense, right?
Today it might be different, but once upon a time, the man, his stability was his business or his whatever his shul is. He had everything where he was. Her stability is him, is the husband.
I don't know. Gershon, a single lady comes rolling into a hotel at night. You know what I mean?
I said, I prefaced it with today might be different, but once upon a time.
Wait, back then it was just as bad. That was yesterday's.
It was
Gemara.
worse. It was worse.
There was no policing.
No policing, but in general, a man's stability is his parnas, is where he is. He builds his home. A woman's stability is her husband. Once she gets divorced, she doesn't have that stability anyway. So you're going to make him suffer. You send him away from his business, his home, his whatever. Her, she's anyway going.
Are we assuming that she's going back to her father's house?
Oh, you think? No, it doesn't sound like that from the pasuk. That would make sense that she's going back to her father's house. But it's the pasuk just referring to who has it worse when they wander, right? So I don't know.
Seems
Okay,
vulnerable.
yeah, that's what I would think. Unless you say that for him, he's got to go find the minion. Let's get from now, okay? He's got to go find the minion, and he's got to go this and a mikvah. Well, she doesn't need a mikvah. She's wandering. But I'm saying a mikvah and a this, and who knows, all these religious things. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, fine. So Tana Rabbanan. The Gemara continues with this back and forth that divorced couples have to stay away from each other. So Leiva Himena b'nichsei aviyah. Let's say he borrowed from his wife, right, with the nechasim of her father, meaning the Yerusha, he asked her to borrow, which is right off the bat is a recipe for a Shalom Bayis disaster, right? He's
Well,
borrowing money from his wife. Yeah.
Before you go right there, in time Gemara with children after a divorce, where did they stay?
I guess I don't know. I don't know how they did it with the custody. I don't know because you're right.
Yisrael, they sent them 10 CSY.
You set yourself up for that one.
All right. No matter what I say, I'm going to set myself up for the Kataran. But Lamaisa, if he stays by the father, then it makes sense. If he did by the mother, then she's on. Now it's not just it, not just.
No, you're right. It's an interesting thing, right? Because nowadays you're not allowed to move out of state, right? When they have the divorce things, the spouse is not allowed to move. The lady, for sure, whoever has custody is not allowed to move out of state, so that they could be around. I mean, obviously depending on the deal, right? So I don't know. Yeah. But listen, there's a reason there's big business in divorce mediation and divorce lawyers and all that. It's big business. It is big business. So from this Gemara, it sounds like they're not even allowed to handle with each other. Let's see the next Gemara. It says, so let's say he borrowed from her based on her father's belongings, right? Because otherwise, all the money should belong to him. Because when a woman gets married, the money goes to the husband. Either way, she's not allowed to go get paid back from him only through a third party, meaning they cannot get together to hash out a deal to get paid back, because we're afraid that they're going to get intimate. Amar Rav Sheshes, and if they would come to us to Beis Din together to have a din, we're not going to listen to them. But Papa Amar Shmusi Mishamsina Lahu, we're gonna even put them into cherem, and Rav Huna Brei Yeshua Amar Negude Nami Menakdina Lahu, we're even going to give them malkos. So it's a machlokes rishonim if this is in addition, meaning are they saying put them in cherem and give them malkos, or is it or? Okay, either way, they're not going to let these couples handle together, which I should have asked today that rabbi also, because nowadays they do handle together after they're divorced, right? I mean, how would you have all these diyuns of walking down the kid down the chuppah, right? Who's walking down? What's walking down? I'm saying, why would that be allowed? I would think that it should not be allowed. Right? Maybe that's where the minute comes from. Not that it shouldn't be a divorced couple. Many have that minute, or
maybe public it doesn't matter.
Well, this is in Beis Din, and Beis Din's not even letting them. Right?
Right.
Beis Din's not even letting them. So I don't know. I don't know. Very, very hard to understand all this. Okay. Fine. So I'm Rav Nachman Tana, but Evil Rabasi. So
what's hard to understand? You don't want this couple to engage in
No. I'm saying, but no, how we deal with it nowadays. Deal with this.
We're messed up in so many ways. This is just one.
Could be. There could be, but I would like to think we do keep halacha. I would like to think that.
It's called pick and choose.
Okay, that could be.
Doc? Who's the we?
Present company included.
Anyways, I'll just say something. I had a thought of once we're talking about Eva Rabasi. Bottom line is, which dar? See, everybody says, "Oh, this dar doesn't know how to have Avelis on the Churban. We don't know anything." We're checking the sports score 5 minutes after Tisha B'av starts, all the sports scores, and we're texting it. Bottom line is, which dar has more? I don't want to call it Mesiras Nefesh because that's an overused word for the Churban. 100, 200 years ago, when did they eat meat? What they didn't eat meat in the 90s. They didn't eat meat for months at a time. Wine, they never had wine. And music, they didn't have. And laundry, they did once a week anyway, so once every 2 weeks. So where exactly was their sacrifice for the 3 weeks, 9 days? Mashain came, every 10-year-old kid who's asking for a heter to listen to music, and he doesn't listen to music for 3 weeks, right? It's no joke what these kids are doing. I don't care about music, but I'm just saying, this door, all they do is listen to music, and they don't listen for 3 weeks. And if they do, they ask shilas and laundry and meat. And I don't know. I think it's a big shvach to our door. Everybody's busy saying we don't know how to say avelis. Bottom line is we're showing it a lot more, I think. All right.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the only time I felt like a little bit of avelis once in a while, when I was in camp, I felt it a bunch of times. And then the first day I wasn't in camp, I got this so people talking and on their phone, what in the world is going on? Tisha B'av was at camp, it was the biggest thing, and I remember I was in for a surprise when I came back.
Yeah,
That's
no,
only
it's-
the closest time I ever felt a little bit the korban was in camp and stuff like that.
okay, no, maybe that's what it is, Taka. Maybe. Anyways, okay. So, but on that note, so let's see. Now we talk about Eva Rabasi, which is a Masechta about it's really called Masechta Smachas, the Masechta of Simchas, which is really a Masechta all
Euphemism.
about
It's a
Avelis.
euphemism.
Yeah, correct. So Bamedvarim, so what does it say? The Bamedvarim, which is Karshim and Anasuin. There it says that only these dinim only apply if they got divorced from when they were actually married. Oh, and the Kishin is Karshim and Aerison, when they get divorced from when they were just engaged, meaning they weren't actually married. Again, engaged doesn't really mean engaged, but it means that the first stage of the marriage, then the Fraz Aide Atzma, then she's allowed to go get paid by herself. Shein Li by Gaspa, because his heart, we had that Lashon yesterday, he's not really, they're not so Gaspa, they're not so used to each other. So therefore, they don't know each other's nuances, etc., etc. So therefore, it's not such a concern that they're going to sleep with each other. Fine. So then the Gemara brings two versions of the Gemara about this. There was an engaged guy and an engaged girl. They came around a Rava. Yasa Ravada Barmasta Kamei, and Ravada Barmasta sat in front of Rava. Uki Rava Shlucha Ben Sayu, and Rava made a shliach between them so that they wouldn't have to interact with each other. Right? That if they were only engaged, which is what this couple was, then we do let them talk to each other. No, because I saw already that this couple was very close to each other. So since this couple was very close to each other, I was more concerned. Ikadamri, another version of the story. Ikadamri, Rava didn't make a shliach between them. How come you don't make them have a shliach? Right? It says Eva Rabasi that they're allowed to. He said, that's in Eva Rabasi, it's only where they are not used to each other. But this couple, I see that they are used to each other. Therefore, I'm concerned that they'll go back to being together. So therefore, I put a shliach. Right. So either way, point is that if they're engaged, the default is if they were just engaged and they broke it, then they are allowed to hang out with each other. Okay.
Do we pass him like this second girsa?
I think so. Why?
I mean, I imagine it comes up with you a lot, this kind of thing. Halacha says X, but Lamaisa.
You mean, can somebody just, you're saying, could somebody just adjust the halacha based on, it looks like this couple's too chummy? That's what you say? Right. And the other way was lakula.
Yeah, but in all kinds of halacha also, when halacha says one thing, halacha says something's mutter. But you see, there's a gather to be set up.
Right. I don't know. You got to be a big rabbi to do that.
I mean, the l'chayr is the purpose of this Gemara.
I would think so, yes. Okay, let's see weiter. So, sagt the Mishna. Big chiddush here. These are the ones that are believed to say Eidos when they were, a person's puzzle Eidos till he's bar mitzvah. So what happens if he sees something when he was a kid, and then he remembers it when he's a gadol, like we had the other day, that it could be that a person could even remember an Eidos more than 60 years, right? So it says, these are the ones that are, they're believed to say Eidos when they're older, masharo b'kaidan, when they saw when they were younger. Right? So Neman, now the Mishnah goes through a whole list. Neman Adam Loimer Zek Savyade Shal Abba. He could say this is my father's handwriting. Zek Savyade Shal Rebbe. And he could say this is my Rebbe's handwriting. Zek Savyade Shal Achi. And this is my brother's handwriting. The Gemara is going to ask, why do we need 3 cases? If he's believed on handwriting, he's believed. Why do you need 3 separate cases? Zechora Yisi B'Plainis Sheyatza B'Inuma V'Rosh Perua. I remember that this woman went out behinuma and her head her hair was hanging down, meaning that she was a basula. Ish Pliny Yaitzim Yibesa Sefer, Litva Lecho B'Truma, and Ish Pliny he left yeshiva to be toivel, to eat truma, right? Meaning he's proving that he's a kohen. And he split up food from the theyren. And another one is that he could say that in this field, it's a besa pras, meaning there was a body that was plowed and the body's all over, right? Meaning, so what's he saying, Eidos? He's saying that the besa pras went from point A to point B and not further than that. So he's believed to say that too. Then it vadkan haynu hayinu bayin b'Shabbos, and up until here, that's where we went with Shabbos, meaning that was the tchum, right? They can base the tchum of the city based on this bar mitzvah boy saying what he remembers when he was a kid, which is very negeya to me, because somebody told me that my father, Zechron Baruch, said that he could make an eruv from camp where I'm in now to my mother's house. And I went through the calculations with Elio Ikovic, and there's no way, I don't think. So I'm trying, I don't know if it's a good Eidos, it's not a good Eidos, whatever, but it says you'd believe a kid. Yeah. Anyways.
So Yaakov, is there a limit on this?
What do you mean?
He saw something when he was 6.
Yeah,
Now he's 85. He's saying to Eidos he's 85. He saw it almost 80 years before.
Yeah, so I don't know, because we had that Gemara last week that said you can maybe even remember more than 60 years. I thought you were asking the other way. Does this work even if he says he was 4 years old or 3 years old? Does that work for that too? Does he have to be a gil chinuch? Well, that's what we're saying. We're going to say in the Gemara that these things are only with the Rabbanons. If we would not believe this for deraisis, this is only for the Rabbanons or gilui milsa, just to reveal things to us.
The Gemara is going to end up saying that it's if it's with an adult, right?
That's only the ones that need Adim. That's only the ones that need Adim, right? But the ones that don't need Adim, we're going to believe him on his own. But we'll see that in the Gemara. Fine, weiter. So another one is Aval Ein Adam Neman.
A lot of things.
What?
Your father also asked Ramosha about ribbis, and he was told it's ribbis deraisa, and in the Sefer it's brought down b'shem Ramosha that it's mutter 100%. And I personally asked his kid, and he told me it's ribbis deraisa. So what do you do with that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the problem. There's anything b'shem. That's the problem. But here you go. But here you have a kid saying, 15 years ago, I remember this is where the tchum was, and we're saying we believe him. Right? So how does that go? I don't know. No, but see here, he's not saying what they said. He's saying this is where we walk till. Right? He's not saying like we have that in the Bongo Kali too. But some people say that everybody walked to the stop sign by the lake, and some people said they only walked to the beginning of the lake. So we're mamish like Yiddish people. We can't even figure out by us.
That could be that they were wrong. I remember what we did. That doesn't make it right.
Who knows? I don't know.
You have a chazaka. Somebody was saying you have a chazaka. It's a chazaka, but it's not a chazaka if you got it wrong.
Did you walk with your father somewhere? That's the shaila.
I could tell you my father never walked down that hill on the Shabbos. Not that I ever remember. And I am following in those footsteps, literally, no pun intended. Not going
I
down
was just
that
about
hill.
to say there was no chance he went down there and came back up.
That's right. Maybe down, not up. No way. Anyways, fine. Weiter. But a person's not neman. A person had a derech through this way, meaning this is talking about, the situations where somebody has a shortcut through your yard. So the din is, if it's in a shortcut for years, so then the person that owns the yard cannot shut that shortcut anymore. Right? So he's saying that then they had
Aaron's got to tell his neighbor.
What,
his
they
next
cut
door
through?
neighbor. The cut through from Alonzo to Harris.
So yes, and a chanami. That's, you really have to close it up once in a while just to show Rabbi Kleinkaf with my mother's house. Every once in a while, he would close the gate just to make sure that
Yeah, Shmuel, when they opened the W, Shmuel told Chesky Kopel to close the gate by him. Otherwise, they'll have the whole W shul walking to his.
So that's what it's saying. So he could say the kid is not believed to say this. Why? Because this is Dine Mominus. Right? Then what? And he is also not believed to say that this was the Amud, like where a person stood and said a spadim. Meaning back then they said a spadim for money. Right? Nowadays, all they do is speeches for money. I don't know if they do a spading for money, but back then they did a spading for money. And the guy had a spot like near the cemetery, and this was his spot where he walked by, and he said a hesped. So the kid is not believed to say that this was his spot. Okay, so we'll get to that in Gemara. Sag the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna prayed to Rav Yeshua, who sheyesh gadol imay. Anytime it has to be that it has to be two eidim, there has to be the other aid has to be a gadol. It can't be two, meaning obviously they're both gedolim, but it has to be that the other one is a gadol from the gadol, meaning he saw this when he was actually a gadol, and the second one is katan. Right, for tzricha, fine. Now we need all three cases. Meaning
Wait, it's Viakim. What's the purpose of the katan if there's a gadol there?
no, it's in a place where you need two aidim.
These are all one. Yotza behinuma is eight
What?
echad. And Yotza
No,
behinuma needs.
What?
Yotza behinuma is one aid, no?
No, there's some of the cases,
The first cases need two.
right? That's what we're
Kiyum
talking about.
shtaris.
Right, so you need, well, Basula,
Yeah, Basula is only one.
so which case needs,
The Malin Lakayan is also one. The first two cases need two.
right, so
Second
that's what
three.
it's saying.
Right, okay, just the first two cases.
Yeah. So you got Ayin Taisis, that Taisis says, but Truma doesn't know, Taisis goes through a little bit, right? Fine. So but Tzricha said, why do we need three cases? Why do we need, there's this truck bothering you? This truck in the back? Can you hear me? All right, but Tzricha. And you need all three cases of recognizing the handwriting of the father and the Rebbe and the brother. Maybe we trust him for the handwriting of the father because he's always by his father. But his Rebbe not. Maybe by his Rebbe, since he had fear from his Rebbe, so he has bad memories of it, and then mainly he remembers his handwriting. But not his father. Maybe those are the two reasons why they're allowed. Aval Achiv, the Leslie, but his brother, the Leslie, doesn't have either one. He's not scared of his brother, and he wasn't around his brother so much. Maybe he would not be trusted to say that it's his brother's handwriting. Kamash Malon, Kiyum the Kiyum Shtaris Midrabanan. Since all we're trying to do is be Makayim, again, like we had last week. All we're trying to do is be Makayim the Shtaris. So the Rabbana believed that the Rabbana by the Rabbana.
Why is it so pashut that there's less ema by a father than a rabbi?
Why what?
There's less ema by a father than by a rabbi.
It's talking about today's generation where there's no ema. I don't know. I don't know. I would think that because with a Rebbe you have more. It's usually there's more ema interactions. Face. All right, let's see Vaitis. So Sechara Yisi, the plain is Shayatza Behinuma for Rosh Perua. Says, I remember this lady. She went out Behinuma and her hair was down. Right, that's how we know she was a basula. My timer. Why is he believed? So the only reason he's believed is Kivan the Rav Nashim basula is Nisa. Since Rav Nashim get married when they're basula is Gila Milsa Ba'alma. He's not saying an Edus. All he's doing is saying a Gila Milsa Ba'alma. Fine. Ish plain Yaitsim based a Sefer Litva Lechel Betruma. And then he's also Neman to be believed that this guy left school in order to go to the mikveh to eat truma. So Rabban, this is your kasha the last couple of days. V'dilma Eved Kohen who? Maybe this guy's an Eved Kohen. How do you know he's a Kohen? Maybe he's the Eved of a Kohen who's allowed to eat truma. How do you know that he has yichus based on that? So Masayeh, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Asaladim Shiyom Medasavdei Torah. It's a proof to Rabbi Shua ben Levi. It says also for a person to teach his Eved Torah. So Gemara says Veloy, and it's also you're not allowed to teach Evet Torah Batanya, Loy v'himenu Rabbi, if his Rebbe borrowed, not Rebbe, his master, the owner, borrowed money from the slave. Aisha, so Rabbi, or his Rebbe made him into on Talmud Beis now. into an apotropis, which means it's also he's trusting him. Or the Eved's putting on the tefillin in front of his master. Or he said 3 psukim over in shul. We can't assume that he was free, meaning all these cases are the master's borrowing money from a slave, or he made him into an apotropis, meaning he put him in charge of things, or he was reading, or all these things. You think, okay, must be this guy's free. No, it's not a proof. So what do you see from that? You see from that you could teach your Eved Torah. So what answer though, Hasam, the Ikri Eved Midaitoi. There it's talking about where the Eved read the Torah on his own. Kikam Rinon the Konoig Be Minig Banim. But when did we say that you don't teach the Eved Torah? That's to be Noig the Minig of sons. Right? So to be Noig the Minig of sons, that we that nobody would ever do with an Eved. You're not going to treat an Eved like a son. An Eved decides to go learn some Torah, okay, but not to the level of a son. Fine. Litva lecho betruma, right? So we said that take him to be toivel to eat truma, but truma derabanan. It's only truma derabanan, because if it's truma deraisa, we're not going to believe him based on his edus from when he was a kid. Fine. V'shahaya chaylik imanu ala gayren, and he was chaylik with us, meaning he took truma by the silos. So the Gemara asks again, don't Eved Kayin who? Maybe he's an Eved Kayin. Who says that it's a proof that he's a Kayin? So Tanan, Command Omar, Ein Cholkin Truma, Levid, Ella Imken Rabbi Imai. So it must be that our Mishnah goes like the Shita that says that we don't give Truma to the Eved by the silos unless his master is with him. The Tanya, Ein Cholkin Truma, Levid, Ella Imken Rabbi Imai. There, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds that you don't give out Truma, right? We were trying to remember this machlokes yesterday or 2 days ago. Rabbi Yossi Amar Yachol Sheyamar, he could say, Im Kayan Ani Tnuli B'Shvil Atzmi. If I'm a Kayan, because again, he goes to the silo, they don't have no idea who he is. So he says, Mamanoshach, if I'm a Kayan, give it to me. Im Eved Kayan Ani Tnuli B'Shvil Rebbe. Right? If I'm an Eved Kayan, so give it to me for my Rebbe. Fine. Im Kayan Rabbi Yehuda, Hayumaylam Truma Liyusin. We had this a couple of times. In Rebbe's city, if they see a guy eating Truma, then we assume automatically he's a legitimate Kayan. In Mekamish Rabbi Yossi, but in Rabbi Yossi's place, they did not automatically assume that if a Kayan's eating Truma, that he's automatically meyuchas. So Tanya Amar Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Yossi, I never said edus about any of these things. One day I said edus that this guy was eating Truma, so it must be that he's a kosher meyuchas to Kayan. The helu Eved, the kahuna alpi, and they almost put an Eved as a Kayan based on my testimony, meaning I was wrong because I was going with the other town. So Gemara says, "Helu sagadati." You think that they actually put an Eved in the top of the mizbeach or to work as a Kayan based on Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Yossi's mistake? Right? Hashtu ma'behem shel tzadikim and Hakadosh Baruch Hu meimit takala yadam. If the behem of tzadikim Hashem does not bring a takala, right? That's the Gemara with the donkey of Pinchas ben Yair, right? So if Hakadosh Baruch Hu won't bring a takala to the donkey, tzadikim matzon like kol sheken tzadik for sure. So it wouldn't be, right? So how could it be that he would have made some mistake? Ella bikshu lahalis eved lekahuna alpi. They were going to make this Eved into a Kayan, and then they stopped him. So it wasn't shot that he went up there. He was going to go up there, right? Chaza ba'asrei de Rabbi Yossi, right? Now what was the mistake? So Chaza ba'asrei de Rabbi Yossi, he saw it in the Rabbi Yossi city, right? Where in Rabbi Yossi city they would give truma to avodim, and even though their master wasn't there, so he assumed, oh, this guy must be a legitimate kohen. And his edus was in Rabbi Yehuda's town, which they never would have accepted it. So he just made a mistake based on the location. So that's what he had made a mistake.
So Yaakov, so the Kohanim were not wearing black suits at Borsalinos, and the Yevadim wearing Oakland Raider t-shirts.
It seems like that. I don't know which way it went, but it seems like they dressed the same, right?
Yeah.
Must be. Yeah. It's funny because you think that you just give him a letter or give him a pass, right? I don't know why they didn't have some system like that. Okay, weiter. So he's believed to say that this makam, the Beis Apras, where the body was plowed, it only goes from point A to point B. So he's believed my timer because Beis Apras is the Rabbanon. The Beis Apras is the Rabbanon. Right? The tumah there is the tumah from Beis Apras only Rabbanon because it's all chopped up. The Amar of Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, the way how somebody's going up to Yerushalayim, and he needs to get across this field. So how's he going to get across this field? So what he does, he gets down on his knees and he blows the Beis Apras, and then he sees that there's no fragments of bones, and then he's okay. Rav Yehuda bar Ami mishmei the Rav Yehuda Amar Beis Apras shenidash Torah. Beis Apras that many people stepped on it is going to be Torah. My timer. Because it's not possible that there's not going to be a bone the size of a barley that was not, stepped over with a foot. Fine. He says, and we came till here. That was the tchum. Because we hold tchum is derabanan, which is the way we paskin. So since tchum is derabanan, so therefore we believe this guy when he was a kid. Fine. He's not believed to say that in territorial rights. He's not believed. My time. Why is he not believed? You can't take money out from somebody based on what he remembers from when he was a kid. So since this would cause somebody to lose part of his field, or this would cause somebody to lose his spot for saying espedim, so we can't believe him. So Tana Rabbanon, Neman Atinak Loimar Kach Amrli Abba Mishpacha Zu Tahira Mishpacha Zu Tameya. A kid is believed to say that this family, my father said this family's tar, this family's tamei. Tahira Tameya Sakadai, tar and tamei. What does that have to do with families? What he meant is this family is kosher, this family is puzzle. Fine. So that part he would be believed. And we ate a piece of the ktsatsa, which the Gemara is going to say later, when this person married this person. And that we bring chala and matnas kahuna to this and this person. He's a kohen. Right? But that's only if he's the one that brought the stuff to the kohen, not if he knew somebody else brought it. Right? Because if it was him, he's going to remember better. But if he says, I remember my brother used to bring things to the kohen, that's not good enough. He has to be actually involved. The kula and in this guy. So what happens if a guy remembers something and then he became a ger, or eved v'nishtachar eved, and then he became free, which then means he becomes a yid? Ain't namanim that they're not believed. So a kid is believed when he becomes a gadol to say things about what happened by his childhood, but a guy is not believed after he becomes a ger to testify what he said before. Right? So they're not, and the yid is not believed for that either. So Rabbi Yochanan says they are believed. So even though the Mishna says that it's not believed, but it's actually a machlokes of Tanoi. Rabbi Yochanan, which case is Rabbi Yochanan going on? If you say it's on the seifa, right, that a person that can use his spot to say espedim, that's taking out somebody's money. Ella Reisha must be going on the Reisha. For Kulam and all of them, Imhaya Ovid Kechavim B'Niskayer, if he's a guy and he became a ger, Evid B'Nishtachar, or he's an Evid and he became free, ain't Emonim. He's not believed. Rabbi Yochanan B'Braikoim and Emonim, they are believed. But my comifli, what's Pshana Machlokes? So Tanakam Sover Kivin to Ovid Kechavim, who, since he's a guy, when he was a guy, when all this was going down, he has no recollection. He wasn't being medayik exactly what the halacha was. He was a guy. No, since he had das to become a ger, made the koyedayik, he was going to be careful. which I don't clearly understand this, because that means that they're not arguing in the same case, right? They're arguing apples and oranges, right? What happens if it's way before the guy had a thought of becoming a ger? So then they wouldn't disagree. That's what it sounds like, right? But I don't know. Okay, my kotzitza. What is this that they would eat kotzitza? So the Tana Rabbanon Ketzad kotzitza. What is this kotzitza? Let's say one of the brothers marries somebody who's not proper for him, right? So what does that mean? Is not proper? That she's a suffix of whether she's a mamzer, mamzeres, that type of thing. So what do? Bon b'nei mishpacha. The mishpacha come to the wedding. Mavi and chavis malaya peiros. They bring a barrel full of peiros. The shoivrin oisa be'emtzer rechava, and they break the barrel in the middle of the street. And they say, Acheno Beis Yisrael, right? Our brother, right? Meaning our brother's Beis Yisrael Shimu. Listen, Achino Pliny Nasa Isha Sheina Hagenetha. Our brother is marrying a woman that's not proper for him. We're afraid that his kids are going to end up marrying our kids. So we don't want that. So take a dogma is like sort of like a remembrance for Dairis. Right, that his kids shouldn't mix with our kids. Meaning, so they're basically giving out this tzitza in order that everybody should remember, don't marry into this guy's family. Meaning, I guess they couldn't convince him not to, right? So that's what they. So
this is a lovely minhag.
It sounds like a great minhag, right? That's what it says, that a kid is neman, or the adult is neman, to say that when he was a kid, they served this by this guy's wedding in order to prove that, in order that everybody should know not to marry in. Right? So, so that's that. I think that maybe this is where you get, because it's like a barrel full of fruits, right? That's what the Gemara says. So I just wonder if that's where Invei Agefen, V'Invei Agefen comes from. Right? That we're saying that this is good fruits. It's good fruit that I'm marrying a child. I know it's not the most romantic, word, but we're saying it's this good fruit with good fruit as opposed to this case where it's bad fruit with bad fruit. Anyway, so Hadron Allah Isha Shenis Armala. Fine. Okay, I guess we'll stop here. All right. Shkoyach, everybody.
Yaakov, I hosted a siyum for somebody today. At 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm still eating fleishiks.
Good for you, because Ramesha says you should stop making siyumim on Zion.
Not me. I didn't make the siyum.
No, Zion is tonight.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. I'm still eating fleishiks. I've been fleishiks since, I think, Erev Shabbos.
Give me a salsa first. Yeah, parrots, keep it going, man. Keep it going.
The Shabbos Rachi wants to know what's pshat. Is it really something that I haven't been milchix yet the whole 9 days?
I was just telling Darlem in the morning.
Mitzvah Shem, by Yud, we're going to come to you with kvitlach, Mitzvah Shem, by Yud of.
Yeah.
By Yud is serving milchix by Yud.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them what you said this morning about siyumim.
I eat more meat in the 9 days than I do any week the entire year.
Yes, that's exactly what I said. I ate more meat this week than I do in a standard week, and I don't really eat milchix ever.
Yeah, huh?
Anyhow, l'chaim on the parak.
L'chaim.
Parrots, what are you drinking? Limoncello? What is that?
It's the only scotch I had because I already finished my other bottle. It's some Japanese something.
No. Just when you were walking with it, it looked more yellow.
It is. It's clear. It's clear like.
Yeah. No, it looked like a deep yellow, like limoncello or something.
Product of Japan. Hatsuki. Finest Japanese.
Turn around.
Well,
I've seen that. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good scotch.
Wow. At this point, it doesn't matter anymore. All right.
You should drink a coffee.
Parrots, don't drink too much tonight. I might need your help.
With what? With the photos?
No, they got the photos.
So what do we need?
Print out the application, fill it out, all that chazara.
Okay, that's not a big deal.
Talking about photos, parrots. When you get them
Better
back,
that I'm
can I have a
drinking.
couple of good ones.
Do you know where your appointment is yet? Did you find out where?
No, we didn't.